It doesn't take you long once you know me to learn one thing that I just absolutely love, and that is I love to travel to Iceland. I go there as often as I can, at least once a year, more often if possible. And since moving back to Colorado, I'm thrilled that there's a quick, easy, nonstop from Denver that's very affordable and very available. In fact, I've gone so often in recent years, I've started learning Icelandic, and it's opened many new doors and built new friendships with so many people. It's just quite amazing. So each year I try to go a little further afield and explore a little further away in the wilderness of Iceland. And a couple of years ago, I was in the north of Iceland, exploring on my own and trying to find a guest house that I was to stay at. The challenge was I had no address for this guest house. All I had was instructions that it was between two villages, 20 kilometers apart. I drove up and down, tried to find it, and I couldn't find it. And finally, I decided I have to stop at one of these houses and ask for directions. So I chose a house kind of randomly, knocked on the door, and then this man answered, and I said, "I'm looking for this guest house. Do you know the way?" And he said, "Yes, it's down this road 8 kilometers." I looked and there was no road. There was only a place on his lawn that looked like maybe one car had driven one time. He said, "But wait, I'll call the guest master and he'll come get you and take you down there." Well, he did, and we waited, and we talked for a bit, and he said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Colorado," and he got excited. He said, "Where in Colorado?" And I said, "Fort Collins." He said, "Oh, I've always dreamed of going to Fort Collins." And I said, "What is this?" to myself. Who knows about Fort Collins in Iceland? Well, it turns out he was the dean of equine studies at the university in that fjord, researching therapy with horses to benefit adolescents who have Down syndrome. And he was trying to work on a project with CSU in Fort Collins. It was amazing. We talked for a while, we exchanged information, and sure enough, the guest master came and took me to the guest house. But I never forgot meeting that guy. So the next year, when I was going again to the north of Iceland, as chance would have it, I wrote him ahead of time and said, "Can we meet again? And would you give me a tour of the equine facility at the university and tell me about your research?" I was really curious to learn more about this person and all that he was doing in that place. So the next year we did go and have a tour at the university. It was amazing to learn of the work they were doing. And at the end of the tour, he took me to his office and we were having coffee. And he said, "I didn't tell you the whole story last year when you came to my door. I was sitting at my computer working on the grant application with CSU in Fort Collins to further research for those youth. And I was so frustrated we weren't making progress that I didn't know what to do." And he said, "I'm not a religious man." But he said he found himself looking at the ceiling and saying, "God, if I should keep working on this project, show me a sign." Right then, he said, I knocked on the door. And he was amazed that of all people, a priest from Fort Collins knocked on his door when he asked for a sign. We laughed, and I couldn't believe it either. It seemed amazing that these connections could be that deep. And it was then that I realized something more was going on about this story than just getting lost and looking for directions or just meeting someone on their doorstep. I started to realize in meeting the other and meeting this man, something much more was at work. I was feeling the presence of the Holy Spirit, this sense of God present in and through us, in a sense, bringing us together. It was quite amazing. Since that time, I've been back and been able to spend more time with this new friend. And we've gotten to know each other more and more deeply. And now that we're becoming closer and closer friends these years later, I'm realizing that knocking on that door and asking for directions was really maybe something that I was being drawn into through the movement of the Spirit. And I'm realizing that that gift of receiving God's presence when we meet other people is so deep and so profound. I'm realizing as you all are going through this journey of discovery together, you may be meeting new people as well. People you never thought that you would meet. Connecting in ways you never imagined possible. To me, that's the gift of meeting perhaps the big O, other, in the other relationships with people we meet. Perhaps in meeting the people around us and cultivating deeper relationships, that's where we're meeting God face to face. My hope and prayer for you is that this journey in Discover will be one of deepening relationships, deepening connections, and deepening awarenesses of the Spirit at work in and through each of you, individually and in relationship together.